If she had only been ugly.
I came in off my sick bed because Jim Florentine's in town. I didn't want to miss him because he lives in New York. New York, New Jersey.
Jersey. I feel bad that you did that.
No, I had to do it. I don't want to miss you. Then another year goes by, I don't see you.
But that means I got to come through.
Well, you don't have to. Here's the difference. Let me explain podcast to you. You know, like your act where you have to be funny like every few seconds. Here, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, you can be interesting. You can tell me something about your kid, about your life. That's the podcast.
The thing is, I just don't want you at the end of the podcast to go, I got out of bed for that.
That's true.
That's
Maybe you better pump it up a little.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of pressure.
What's the funniest thing that ever happened to you?
Speaking of which,
the pressure of those fucking questions.
Oh, it's when you do morning radio.
Give me the craziest story you ever. I don't know what the fuck. You know, guys shit in a pool one time. I remember it was like, I don't know what's crazy.
Yeah, well, I just did that Playboy morning radio.
Oh yeah, I've done
this
that.
morning, and the guy's like, all right, the producer's like, okay, you got any like funny, crazy sex stories we could talk about? And I'm like, anything sexual? I'm like, I don't know. I like blowjobs. Can we talk about that?
I did that, and then we had to write something in a half an hour for the girl. And honest to God, she actually was pretty good. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, really?
I'm thinking, why are you 19 years old with your tits out, fake tits at 19, forever now she has fake tits, and she was actually bright and funny. I was thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You jumped to this life a little too early, kid.
Yeah, you hate to see him get implants that young. You know that's not.
How old are your kids?
I just got one son. He's 3.5.
Oh, okay. So you're not even near that.
I got
world.
him later in life. I couldn't handle it at 20, 30.
So you're not near that world of worrying about it, because I have changed since my goddaughter, who's 20, got older. It's harder for me to rationalize strip clubs now. I'm not saying I won't go, but if I picture her doing that, it turns me off. My dick actually implodes into my body like a turtle's head.
Yeah. No, I'm over that phase too. I used to live in strip clubs.
Yeah.
That was my
favorite
favorite
a lot of
thing.
comedians.
Yeah, and then I've been in one in the last 5 years.
Really?
Just doesn't appeal to me at all.
Well, it's such a sucker thing. I love the whole thing about when people act like the girls really like them. Like a friend of mine says, when Wildwood, where we know each other from a couple places, but Wildwood is especially Wildwood, New Jersey. I'm talking about. Where he went in and the guy goes, he called me Nick. He goes, Nick, I think this chick really likes me. I go, what, watch when you run out of dollars, how much she likes.
Yeah.
She'll be fucking turning that little fat ass away.
That strip club in Wildwood there was two of them. But one of them had the greatest name for a strip club.
The Hurricane?
Ever. No, there was one that when you come over to Bridge.
That's the one I'm talking about.
The Hurricane was the little shitty one around the
corner. The one
corner.
where he thought the girl liked him was that place. What was that called?
That was the Hurricane.
No, the one that you're talking about.
CR Fannies.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was CR Fannies.
Yeah, that was funny. The Hurricane was funny because now they actually have good-looking girls because they got those Russian chicks.
Yeah.
Who are bitches anyway. But the Hurricane, they used to have, like, I do a bit about it, but like damaged strippers. Because there was one girl with a big scar on her ass, shit like that, toilet paper hanging out of her thong. I just wrote a bit about it, which certainly killed in Wildwood.
Right.
So
yeah, that's it just got to be when the girls took, when they started wearing gowns, when you had guys in tuxedos meet you at the door at the strip club. I'm like, this is over for me.
Take off your hat.
Yeah.
Take off my hat. You can see her twat. What, are you going to cover her twat with my hat?
I know. But I used to do. There was a place called the Boxcar in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. It was an all nude, bring your own beer strip club.
Right across from Easton.
Yeah, and they used to have comics perform there.
Really? Oh, man.
Me, Rich Voss, Jim Norton, Bob Levy. We used to perform there on the weekends.
Show.
Oh yeah, well, no, we had to do a 5-minute set at the top of every hour from 9 to 2 a.m.
That must have been horrible.
It was brutal. The first month they just paid us in lap dances.
Really?
And then they started giving us money. So as soon as we were done with our 5-minute set, we went right to the lap dance room. It was in there for 55 minutes till they dragged us out. But it was horrible. It was just, guys in flannels bringing coolers of beer, and it was like a bad fishing trip.
So you never came? Like you just kept
Yeah, I did, absolutely.
But in your pants?
Yeah, my pants, yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
And then I would wear tighty whities.
It's wonderful.
I'd wear tighty whities so it'd keep, so it'd keep it inside. I didn't want any leakage because you wore boxers. It was going right in your sock.
Yeah. Good thinking.
So and I kept an extra pair of tidy whities in the car, and I would change them if I did.
Did you try and hold your load until a certain girl?
No, whenever it came out, it came
Oh,
out.
that
I
was
wanted
it?
to see how many I could do in one night.
Right.
My
But
record
you're
was
married
2.
now?
Yeah, I'm married now.
Yeah.
Got married 2 years ago.
I didn't know you went out with Robin Gibbons.
Quivers.
Quivers.
For the
Oh,
Start
Robin
Show.
Gibbons was Tyson's right.
Yeah.
Now what
Yeah,
happened?
we dated for like 8 months.
She's a cool chick, huh?
A great chick, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know her that well, but I always liked her vibe.
Yeah, no, she's totally cool. It's just,
Is she okay? Because I know she was sick.
Yeah, her cancer's in remission. I guess
Oh,
she
good.
said she's cured and stuff, and no, she was totally cool. But it's the whole thing with the comic with the schedules.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really tough,
Well,
especially what her doing.
Would she get
morning
up
radio,
2:30 in the morning?
3:30 in the morning,
3:30?
and work Monday through Thursday, and then
Thank
me
you,
just working
Josiah.
on weekends.
Hey, you could bring it here. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Did you put milk in them? Yeah. Thanks, brother.
Thanks. Beautiful. Thanks.
That's the way you went. Sorry.
Trying to make up for being late, you cocksucker. What were you saying about Robin?
But anyway, yeah. So it just didn't work out. But it was very friendly, and we're still there's no bad blood
But
there.
do you do his show or do you do Opie and Anthony?
I did the Stern Show for a long time, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much what helped my career
Right,
big
right.
time. And then,
Yeah.
I do more Opie and Anthony these days. He's not on as much, but I still got a good relationship with those guys over
Oh,
there.
good. So you're one of the few that's done that.
Yeah, and it's not so much drama between the two shows anymore. You can kind of do both.
Well, especially when it went to satellite, because now people that really want to listen to it. I think.
Yeah.
It's not like before. It was like just on, and but now they got to. I don't know. There's something about satellite that makes it the real hardcore fans. Like I was talking to Leno about today's because he had mentioned about like maybe doing the show. I'm thinking I don't want to do your show before it ends. I don't want to go down with a sinking ship. I just did Fallon's. So I don't want to do you.
Right.
I mean, God bless you. Have you ever seen anything? By the way, I don't mean to ramble. He was number one. Gets fired for Conan. He goes. The ratings go down. He comes back. He's number one again. Then he gets fired again. What the fuck?
Never seen anything like it.
What does he do? That
Just give Jimmy Fallon another 5-year contract till Leno's ready to go, and then put him in that slot. Why are you rushing it?
Yeah, I mean his ratings, which I didn't know, was the demographics are all over the place. Like he has good demographics with the young, Jimmy's would be Jimmy's audience.
Right.
But I mean, I like Fallon. I wish him the best. Have you done his show?
No, I haven't done it, but yeah, I know Jimmy well too.
It's fun.
Yeah, he's a great guy. But it's who knows if the 50 for my wife's parents that are in their 60s watch Leno.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to accept Jimmy Fallon, a younger guy, hipper guy. They're set in their ways to people that watch Leno. But Leno gets the younger crowd too. It depends on the
That's
guest.
incredible. Yeah. Well, he said something to me that was very interesting. Because what happened was Jamie, the owner of the club.
Yeah.
They call him the little. He used to do the show a lot, and they would tweet me, Dom, you got to get rid of the little Mexican. He's ruining the show. But
Right.
he cracked me up, but he wouldn't shut up, But we're doing a benefit for Charlie Hill, this good friend of ours who died a couple weeks ago, American Indian guy, great guy, and Leno's out in the lobby, and Jamie goes, "Why don't you put Dom on the show?" I hate that shit,
Yeah.
embarrassing somebody. So I called Leno up. I said, that was Jamie just having fun. I said I would never do that. He goes, "No, don't worry about it." And then we start talking about it, and he was very open. He actually said, he says, "Look, I saw Fallon take out a guitar and play and sing with Justin Timberlake." He goes, "I can't do that." So, he realizes that's where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they want. Yeah, because I think they want to go younger. But look, the bottom line, it's almost like the comedy crowds. They're always like, we want a younger crowd in here. But to me, the 35 to 60-year-old crowd, when people go, oh, they're older, you got to be careful. They're the best crowds. They've lived.
I like a mix, but yeah, I mean, the old Jews to me are the best crowd for me.
Really?
I don't know what it is, but the old with the white pants, living
Right.
in the Catskills in the summer and in Florida in the winter, they're better for me than even the older Italians. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe there's an old Jew somewhere inside of me.
Maybe, yeah.
There's a baby Mel Brooks.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy that Leno's going to be gone again. I mean, I don't know where other place he would go, but
Well, he makes fucking $100,000 an appearance. He doesn't really need to go anywhere.
yeah,
He does, anytime he does live, I'm sure he's up around 100,000. But it's just funny because before off the air, we were talking about podcast, and I'm doing Rogan's podcast on Tuesday, And that will help me more at the clubs that I'm working than if I had done any of those late night shows or even a couple of them combined. They won't. I mean, like when I do some of those shows, nobody even mentions it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's my talent, but whatever it is, I don't. Not like it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I did Craig Kilborn when he was on. I did stand up on there, and I've done panel on Kimmel a few times. I did George Lopez's show, and I'd plug. He's gonna be at the Funny Bone in St. Louis this week, and I would always ask every crowd, how many people saw me on that show? I get like 6 the whole weekend.
Yeah, I like to ask too because I know Rogan is popular in Ireland, and I do Ireland every year, and I always get these like 20-year-old Irish kids. Dom Irrera, heard you on Rogan, cracked me up, lad.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a podcast, it's huge. I mean, I have my podcast too, and it's like still get, I'd say probably 10 to 15% of my crowd is a podcast people.
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
listen and come out. It's great. I tell them, I go, look, you get the content for free. Just come to one of my comedy shows. That's how you could support.
Can you at least do that?
Yeah, could you just buy a
Fucking
ticket? They're 10 or
mooches.
$15. That's it. You don't have to send me any money. Listen to a couple quick ads, and then you get free content every week.
Yeah, Joe. I think Mark Maron, Rogan, and Bill Burr are 3 of the only guys I know that have regular advertisers. I'm pretty sure Bill Burr.
Maybe.
Have you done Bill's show?
Yeah.
He's fun.
Bill's a great guy, man. I think Jay Moore might have some too.
Yeah, Jay had.
Yeah.
I don't. I said I was working in Providence last week, different years, and I said something. I said Bill Burr. I go, I really I don't get him. I don't see what the big deal is. And the kid looked at me like, I go, oh, he didn't know what to say. I go, I'm fucking kidding.
Right, yeah.
I never heard anybody say anything like Bill Burr. I don't
Yeah.
fuck's that about it? It's fun,
Well, we were doing a set. I did a show last night at the Improv, and
Where you must have killed.
no, well, I mean, but Bill was coming by. He was at the hockey game, and we're like, all right, if he comes by, go, let's let him do a set. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, all right, if he has to go, we're not going to put him on last, and I was going last. I'm like, all right, if I got to go on. If Bill's going to do a guest set, I better step up my game. I was a little nervous.
You don't have to be nervous. You can follow anybody.
Yeah, I know, but
I haven't seen you do stand-up in a while. I always thought you were a really good stand-up. We have a history, Jim and I, of going to work in this club in Wildwood, New Jersey. Here goes Wildwood, New Jersey again. But it's called Club Casbah.
Club Casbah, yep.
And Mark Vito was our leader. We worked there a couple times together, right?
Yeah, and then we did Governors. I always, as a young comic coming up, a lot of times the headliners will intimidate you, be mean to you, be a dick, tell you don't do this, don't do that when you're up on stage. You never did any of that. You just let me do whatever my act was. You never said any of that. You were totally nice to me. You didn't have a problem with me selling merchandise, even though you weren't even selling any stuff, but I did ask
You're
anyway.
Fucking lazy.
But you get a lot of those guys that were just dicks like that. I've learned from guys from you, like you, when these other kids like the MC or the features making $300 for the whole week, go, dude, I got some CDs. Can I sell next to you? I'm like, of course. Oh, thanks, man, because most headliners tell me no.
Why do you got to put down Bobby Collins and Craig Shoemaker? Did I ask you not to name names in this show? Just because those guys are assholes, you got to bring it up?
I actually never worked with either one of those guys.
That's a good out.
But I haven't. But
I've heard that about them.
But it's it's just like let that guy's making. He needs money to put in his gas tank.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Would never
the
take
comedy
money
club is making him pay for food or 50% off. I was making $300 a week for a long time, so I know what it is. You get an extra $50, $70 in your pocket.
I never fucking bother people. It's like I know how hard it is to get those spots. You forget. You make money. You're lucky to have a good career. Some of these guys, I had 2 kids drive from Omaha to work with me in West Palm Beach for $700 a week. Now, I don't know what the gas from Omaha is, but they couldn't have made money.
I know.
And that whole thing, I mean, Mark Maron said something to me, made me feel so good. After the podcast, we just walked over and just started talking a little. And I said, hey, thanks for coming in, Mark. I know you've been busy lately. He goes, you know what? I'll do anything for you. He says, you were really nice to me when I was a doorman. And I'm thinking, you're supposed to be nice.
Yeah.
What the fuck? The Italian and wise guy thing is on stage.
Yeah.
In real life, I like people.
Yeah.
I fucking always hated that bullying shit. And then the material thing, it's like this kid did a bit that was very close to something I do. And I said to him, I just want to tell you that I do a bit like that. He said, well, I won't do it. I said, no, I'm not telling you for that. Do it. But I just want you to, I don't want you to see me in 6 months and go, oh, you got that from me.
Yeah.
And I told him the bit. But I just out of respect to him, and also I don't want him to think I lifted something. You know, a lot of guys lift from guys that don't have any power.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And they stick, oh, they're not going to know. You know, it was also, that was a big thing too. I would always tell, you know, learning from guys like you, I remember the first time working, I'm like, Dom, is there anything you don't want me to talk about on stage? You're like, I think you said something like, yeah, yourself. And I'm like, that's what I do. He goes, no, don't do those jokes.
Don't do the personal self.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, I'll think of something. And I'm like, fuck. And then you're like, I'm just joking, man. Do whatever you want. And I never tell anyone that's opening for me, if they go, is there any material? I go, just dude, you got to kill in the club. You want to come back here on your own, do what you got to do.
I remember telling a kid, I said, don't do anything about my family, you know, like my uncles or cousins, because he goes, really? I go, no. Who the fuck does that? I got to tell you, Dom Irrera's coming up next, his uncle. And then he does the bit.
I like to mess with MCs now, like young guys.
Yeah.
In the green room, like, is there any topics or anything you don't want me to touch? I go, well, what do you talk about? Whatever he says, I go, I got a bit for it.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, well, how does your bit go? He goes, well, I do a thing with my iPhone. Sometimes it doesn't charge. I go, oh, man.
Fuck.
No, I won't do that. I go, well, how does your... Well, it's kind of similar. Nah, I mean, yeah, you got anything else? I got to the point where this guy had no material left. And I told him, I go, he goes, well, I got stuff at home, like in notebooks. I go, you know what? What are you doing tomorrow afternoon? Maybe we can sit and we can go through those notebooks to see if there's anything else you touch on. He's like, I got to work. I'm like, I really like to see those notebooks. A minute before I went on, I go, dude, do whatever you got to do, because he had no material. I said, just go work the crowd. Just say, hey, how you doing? I go, can you just make up stuff? I go, I don't do any Mexican jokes. You know any Mexican jokes? Like, he's like, no. I go, well, you could definitely do them. He's like, I don't know any. I go, just make it up on the spot.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you let him go until...
But I made sure a minute before. I go, dude, I'm only messing with you. I hope it didn't mess you. I go, do whatever you got to do.
That's fucking great. I love that kind of ball bust.
Oh, they're constant.
Ever tell you the story about Vito with the cocaine?
No.
I'm on stage at the Casbah, and I say, you know, Mark's story about, you know, driving up in a black limousine, drinking vodka. What I thought he was doing was coke, you know, and then he came home in a white limousine drinking Perrier. That was his way of rehab. And he goes, don't ever say that again in front of an audience that I did cocaine. I go, Mark, you know, it's a fucking comedy club. I'm sorry, I would never hurt you. He goes, it was crystal meth. I would never do that fucking shit. Right? That's what. He looks like. He looks more like a meth guy anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
We can't really describe him to the audience, can we? I mean, how do you describe? He looks like he's got a pole up his ass. An Italian guy like this.
Yeah.
He wears robes.
Robes on stage. Yeah.
Robes on stage. When's the last time you did his club?
Well, he went under. He sold it last
year.
Yeah,
I know.
So probably about a year and a half ago.
Too bad.
Yeah.
It was a classic. I love that place.
I know, it was great. I mean, he really helped me out. It was a club in the Jersey Shore that did it was open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, pretty much. And they did 2 shows a night every night of the week. Yeah. I was doing comedy like 2 years, so he would give me like 3 weeks out of the summer. So I was doing 14 shows a week. So I cut my teeth in that place.
That's great, yeah.
And South Jersey and Philly people, they're tough, those crowds.
It's not the easiest crowds, yeah.
And the shows were at 9 and 11:30.
11:30 on a Monday.
On a Monday when it was 95 degrees out. And it was heat waves for 4 straight. People were exhausted and they were drunk on vacation, falling asleep at the table at 11:30. If you were a headliner, you went on at 12:20 to 1 in the morning.
I know. It was crazy. I ended up just doing I ended up as I progressed and got a draw there. I just did like 4 or 5 shows.
Yeah.
Stop it.
But you were the type of guy that, came back there to make him money. You didn't have to do the gig. And, you always love hearing stories like that. I know Rogan goes up to this club in Montreal, Comedy Works, Jimbo's Club.
Yeah, like they could afford Joe.
Right, exactly. But he goes in there and he goes, dude, just whatever. I'm just, And it's just, I love stuff like that. I did that at the Casbah the last 4 years too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nearly draw as what you do, but I'm like, dude, give me a little money and put some money in your pocket.
I think Norton went down for him.
Norton did it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I always respected comics that went back to that club where they started. Yeah. Because you went to Atlantic City, you could have done all of those gigs, and Wildwood was 30 minutes from there, so it was always.
Yeah. Well, one weekend the Brigada, they were so nice about it. They let me do his club and their club on Saturday, which was Labor Day. So Mark was cool with it because he could. The club usually did well on Saturday anyway. Right. So that's the one night that he didn't need me. So I did like Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Brigada Saturday. Right. And I did I have an old DVD of me doing like practicing the material, at the Casbah and then doing it and seeing the difference between a big crowd and a small crowd, was pretty cool.
Wow. One of my funniest stories, like just coming up as a comic and watching a headliner like you handle a crowd, I always was fascinated by it. I always like to learn because you never know if you get an unruly crowd, something could happen in the middle of the show, and you don't know how to deal with it, and it totally just screws up the rest of your set. And I remember this one time, the Stress Factory Comedy Club in New Brunswick, New Jersey, had a payphone on the wall right on the stage because they would do prank phone calls before the show, prank somebody live.
They don't have that anymore?
They still have it. I don't think they do it anymore.
That was funny.
Yeah, so Dom's up. It's a packed house, 350 people, in the middle of a show, like a Saturday night, and some guy in the middle of your act just walked on the stage, walked right by you, and picked up the phone like he was making a phone call, and he was a big guy. And you just turned around, you didn't say anything. Next thing I know, like 4 bouncers are dragging the guy out of the club. He's holding on. There's tables falling over, bottles.
I don't remember this.
People go, just dragging him over tables. He's fighting these guys, and they had to drag. It must have took him like at least 4 minutes from the time he picked up that phone to get out of the club out the front door. And you just stood there and didn't say it because the whole room, there's no way you could have went back in your material as a drag around and screaming. Yeah. And after everything, as soon as they got out, and then the club owner walks back in, all huffing and puffing. The guy's name was Vinny. You go, Vinny. Yeah, you go, Vinny, the guy was just trying to make a phone call. It was the fucking greatest line.
That's funny.
And the crowd went ballistic. And you went right back in your material like nothing happened.
Yeah, you got to adjust. That's fun. I had a guy pass out on me about a month ago at the Comedy Store. I couldn't see him, but at the main room, I hear this big thump, and people going, oh my God, and the show stopped. And so, I can't be funny, not knowing if the guy's dying or just, passing out for some blood sugar thing or something. Anyway, when he seemed all right, they got up, and I just kind of calmed the audience and, talking. We called emergency vehicles, and he was a doctor. And he was laughing so hard, he hyperventilated and he fell. He passed out. And I said to them, I've told this club time and again to have warnings when I go on Comedian May Kill, Right. And they got the audience right back. Because, you don't want to fuck with that if you don't know whether he's all right or not.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's just, and something like that, a guy making a phone call or passing out like that, a lot of comics can't recover from that because like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
The audience is totally unfocused and just, I love watching pros like it. Like I said, like you, just know how to handle an audience. So then when that shit happens, no problem. That helped me because I got booked on opening for these heavy metal bands in arenas.
Oh wow!
Doing comedy and just being.
That's hard.
It was nuts. I mean, in front of like 12,000 people.
Did they know you? A lot of them.
About 70% of them knew me because I work on this heavy metal show, a talk show. Uh-huh. But still, I mean,
what's the show? Plug the show.
It's called That Metal Show on VH1 Classic.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we do. It's on every Saturday night, pretty much. It's just it's basically like the Tonight Show for AC/DC fans,
right?
If you're into hard rock, but still, I mean, you're in an arena. Honestly, they don't want to hear any jokes and stuff like that. But just doing those clubs in Wildwood and Philly and watching, some veterans know how to handle an audience.
That's a pretty cool gig. I thought, I opened for Cher. Well,
right.
That's really fucking easy because she is, a very eccentric, eclectic kind of act and who's not just a musician.
Right.
But opening for those guys, you got to have some fucking brass balls. I mean, I take my hat off to that because, or my beanie or whatever the fuck I'm wearing. But I mean, that's incredible. I never knew you did that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've done like 2 different tours for like 6 weeks on a tour bus.
That must have been fun. I love tour bus living.
It's different for a comic, because we're in the same city for like 3-4 nights in a hotel.
Yeah.
Go do these are one nights.
What groups did you work with?
Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax. I mean, like hardcore.
Did Anthrax have to change their name?
No, they wanted them to, and they never did.
Oh, okay, because it's funny, the relativity of fame. I was outside the Comedy Store one night, and these kids from Anthrax came up to me. Now, I didn't know them, and they were really nice and really excited about seeing me. And just to show you the levels of how there were these beautiful fucking girls who were looking at me like, who's that fucking fat old man talking to these guys? Right. And they had no idea who I was. And, Anthrax, like the chain of fame.
Right.
So keeps you humble.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I didn't know you did that. That's fucking cool.
It was rough, man. It was definitely was. But I was like, you know what? I need a challenge.
When you say arenas, you mean like basketball? And
yeah.
That's fucking serious.
Yeah.
Because I did that with her. And the only time I got nervous was Madison Square Garden. And because my sister was so nervous, that it made me a little. I never looked up at the banners or anything. And the next night we were in Denver at a bigger place, and I wasn't nervous at all.
How much time? How much material?
25.
You got to do 12. Wow, that's a lot of time.
But see, like the thing is, her audience is different. It's easier because some of them come just to see her.
Right.
She, like Moonstruck and Sonny and Cher, and she shows videos, and it's a different vibe. You'll see transvestites standing next to grandmothers and grandchildren. You won't see grandmothers and grandchildren at those concerts.
So right. So you didn't, but. So you weren't getting people. They weren't coming in angry.
Well, they knew I was on the bill.
Okay.
You were on the bill, right?
Yeah. I was. Half 3/4 didn't know I was on the bill.
Yeah, because it really means a lot. Because like I met Springsteen over at Conan O'Brien one time, and he said to me, we were talking about stand up. I said, do you know who I would never open for? He goes, who? I go, you. He said, why? I said, because I don't want to be a disappointment. I said, the last thing I want is like, them screaming, Bruce, Bruce. And then the curtain comes up and I'm standing there with a mic, just me alone. And it ain't Bruce. We're not you, whoever you are. No. That'd be fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and that definitely happened a few times. Because I had to do 3 5-minute sets between each band. So if I could have just done 15 before Anthrax went on at 7 o'clock when the venue's only half full, it would have been a piece of. My first set was like working a comedy club.
Did you acknowledge how tough it was?
Yes.
Get around? Yeah.
I told I went up there. I go, look, I got to do 5 minutes. I go, I'm not taking any time away from the bands. They got their set time, so don't be pissed at me thinking that Slayer can do one less song. Yeah, I go. So if you guys don't want to hear a few dick jokes, real quick, go take a piss, go get a beer. I got to be up here, so I don't want to hear it. If you're gonna, just sit there and deal with it. They're coming up in 9 minutes. Slayer's gonna be on this stage.
That's
so I
cool.
do it like that.
That's cool. I had an incident last week. Chris D'Elia?
Yeah.
Very strong, right? I mean, he's really clicked in, like really strong. And I took a late nap, right? Like a 9 o'clock nap, and I'm supposed to be on around 10 something. So I just wake up. I come in here. He's getting a standing ovation, right? But the whole fucking place was screaming. And Jamie goes, "Come on, I'm going to put you next," because he knows I don't give a fuck. And I go, so I say to the audience, I said, Chris D'Elia just got a standing ovation. I just woke up, right? I just woke up. I said, 20 minutes ago, I was sitting in a tub like a big fat fag, shaving, because I'm still too lazy to stand and shave.
Right.
And now I'm here, and I got to follow him. I said, what would you do if you were me? I said, what the fuck am I...
What would you do?
I said, what the fuck am I going to do to top that? Fly around the room? Fucking Peter Pan? What the fuck? And they were on my side because of that.
Right.
And then we have cameras all over the place, and he could see me upstairs, and he knew that I was glad for him. I didn't get...
Right.
And I was going, thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks for burying me, and then the audience was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, that's a good way. Instead of you, like that veteran, instead of just going up there and just going, all right, I'm going to open with this. I'm going to get him on my side.
My God.
Acknowledge it.
What's up with Kmart lately?
Right, exactly. You can't go up there. They're like,
no, you can't act like
guy?
that didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, you just acknowledge it, deal with it, get them, draw them in. That was always the thing with comedy. Is like you got to open strong. You got to open strong when you get up there, and it's like. It's with the headliner, but if someone just killed in front of you, and it's a different kind of vibe, get them into you.
Draw the energy to you. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that Bill Burr thing that came out of me. You knew that.
What?
Remember the Bill Burr rant?
Yeah.
Right
down in Philly, yeah.
That came because of me, because of Bill's affection for me. Did you know that story?
I knew that you were on the bill.
Well, what happened was they were fucking drunk and crazy. All they wanted to see was Norton.
Yeah.
The whole day. They're fucking crazy. And, they were drinking all day. They're tailgating a fucking radio show.
I know.
And then it's outside. So I get up on stage, and I start doing it. And like you hear a couple boos from the back. I go, you know what? I said, I'm making $12,000 for 10 minutes. Fuck you. Excuse me. I said, go back to your mother's basement with your fucking withered arms and your AC/DC T-shirt. Go fuck yourself. And then that got them laughing and stuff.
Right.
Bill was waiting to go on after me. And he says to me, like I'm not me, he goes, they booed Dom Irrera? I go, Bill, there's a couple people, don't worry about it. He goes, fuck them. And that's where he went on the rant. And I'm sitting on the speaker crying, laughing. And I got 8 more minutes and I'm selling CDs. It was the most brilliant single piece of comedy I was ever around.
Yeah.
Because it was so real and so fucking funny.
And it almost seemed like when you watch it on YouTube, because I wasn't there, that like he had that stuff planned, like what he was going to say. I know, which is so amazing that just came off the top of his head.
It was just him being funny and being angry, but using the anger in a positive way. And you know what he told me? He said after that, he had to stop doing their concerts because they expected a rant.
Yeah.
You know, you can't duplicate that kind of brilliance.
Yeah, I think because when they did Cleveland, they were trying to do it to him in Cleveland, and he's like, I'm not doing these anymore.
Yeah. Now, Jim, this comes on in about 3 weeks to a month. Do you have anything you want to plug down the road? I just want to get that
I'm
out.
going to be on the new season of Californication, and I'm also going to be on Girls, the show Girls, and Amy Schumer's show,
Oh,
our
cool.
sketch show. So I got
Congratulations.
some acting stuff coming up.
Right on, brother. That's great.
Yeah.
She's cool, Amy.
Amy's great.
Yeah.
You know what I love about Amy is she respects the veteran comics.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? She's totally.
Yeah.
She loves the guys that've been around a while. She respects that. She's not some up and coming comic that goes, forget those old guys or whatever.
I didn't even know her. She's like hugging me, and it was really very warm. She's hot.
Yeah, and she's totally cool.
Yeah, she's funny.
Loves comics. Always tries to get comics on her show, whatever, and can help anybody.
That's cool.
I really dig her a lot. More comics should be like her.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And what's your Twitter?
Twitter's Mr. Jim Florentine, but I do a podcast every week called Comedy Metal Midgets.
Oh, okay.
I pretty much just do a rant for like an hour and put it out.
Did you have Dean Del Rey on it?
I haven't had Dean yet. No, but we did ours together last
Oh,
night
is that
with a
what it
bunch
was?
of rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
We had on and stuff. So
Is that on already, or
no? That's going to be on. That'll be out by the time this airs. It'll be on.
Yeah. What do I got coming up? I got Denver Comedy Works in March, February Columbus, Ohio, Funny Bone.
Great
Ever
club.
do that club?
Great club.
You know what I do? I have to go in a day early to have dinner with the Italian Social Club.
Really?
I love these guys. Yeah, so fucking funny. Because they go, "You mind coming in?" I said, "No, why do I mind?" I got like 80 people that come on a Thursday night. I'm not going to have dinner with them.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do? Go sit in my room and act like I'm really important? You know what I mean? You know how fucking lonely it can be.
I know.
I'm happy to go. You know.
Getting out there, that's the key. Yeah, I'll be in Florida too. I'm doing the Improv in West Palm and some theater in West Fort Pierce in the beginning of February
that's cool.
too.
That's a good club.
I'm starting. Yeah, the Improv. Yeah, I haven't done the new Improv
big.
in West. I know.
But you know they can partition it off. It's a 700 seater, which I don't understand because if you can do 700 seats in a comedy club, why don't you just do a theater?
Yeah.
For 1,200 and get it over with.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, you'll have fun, and the staff is nice. And I just did the Hard Rock with Jake Johansson and Tammy Pescatelli. And Delia was at the club. I did the casino. We had a ballroom.
Right.
It's fucking great.
Really.
Yeah, it was all gamblers, degenerates. I loved it.
Yeah. That's
I love that world. I love that world.
Absolutely. I used to live in South Florida in Fort Lauderdale, so I know it's all. You know.
Where'd you start?
I started in Jersey.
Where?
A place called Noah's Ark in Woodbridge, New Jersey. It used to be like a Tuesday night. They did comedy. That was the first time I was ever on stage.
Is that 11 on the Garden State?
Yeah, you probably did it because it was around the.
No, I didn't do it.
You never
I would
did it?
remember Noah's.
Okay, and then
I was too big to do it.
Probably
I did so many of those fucking gigs.
the one-nighters and stuff.
Oh, the $65 gigs, yeah. What were
But you know, it was
making?
great because I had a lot of guys that were around before, for a while. Rich Voss, Bob Levy, a guy, Dennis Ross. Guys that had a lot of, Dennis Ross had a bunch of comedy rooms. They took a liking to me for some reason, so they would take me to open for them. So I was working like 5-6 nights a week after doing comedy like a year.
Yeah.
I was making a living. I was getting like $25 a show, $50 or whatever. To go, look,
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this guy. You know,
You do voiceovers too, right?
I worked on the Crank Yankers show for a while.
Oh, you were great on that. Yeah,
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did an episode of that. I fucking
That's
loved
right.
it.
Yeah, you were great on there.
I
yeah.
loved it. You know, it was so hard for me not to laugh with Adam and those guys writing shit.
Yeah,
So I'm
right in
thinking,
their room, I know.
I was like fucking trying to. I was crying laughing, and my episode was about a guy who I said his son stole my car or some shit, but the guy goes, "You're a fucking nut." I go. I said, I kept going, I'll settle for $1,200. He goes, $1,200? I'm not giving you a fucking thing. And then he goes, and then it got it down to, how about some food stamps and a nice back rub, right? And he kept, I get that, we finally got him to agree, but you're great for voiceovers.
Yeah, I mean, I did a couple characters in special ed.
Oh, you was
up with the helmet. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that was a big breakout hit.
Yeah.
And Bobby Fletcher, the guy with the beers on his head. But that show, once I did that, it was weird because that show just basically blew me up at the time.
Yeah.
It was weird because there was the premiere party. They had actual puppets at the party. It was at Caroline's in New York City. So everyone from the cast took a picture next to their puppet. So somehow that got online, that picture of me with the puppet. And then all the comedy clubs, the Improvs and Funny Bones, took that offline and put it outside their clubs. So when I was performing there, they thought I was doing a puppet act with that puppet. So I'd have kids lines out the door with like people bringing their kids thinking I was going to do a puppet show with the special ed. We're just going, yay, yay, that silly stuff. So I was like, and people coming in like 2 minutes into my act, like, where's the puppet? Screaming.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just doing my regular. I would do it at the end. Like I'm going to do that on the encore.
Did you bring the puppets out?
I didn't even have a puppet.
Oh, right.
I didn't meet the puppet till like 5 years later. I never, except for that one time.
It must have been a nice meeting, huh?
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thanks for But people were walking out of my show. Where's the puppet? I go, what? I go, sir, you're 52 years old.
Yeah.
Close your eyes and pretend that I'll do the voice and pretend there's a puppet up here. But kids would be leaving, so half like 20% of the crowd would leave. We thought it was going to be a puppet show for 45 minutes.
I never heard of anybody get insulted.
They were pissed because I was up there, just doing regular jokes.
Yeah.
And then they were like, do the crank anchor stuff. I go, I'll do it at the end. I go, Journey doesn't open with Don't Stop Believing.
Right.
I'm doing it on the encore.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it was. I probably could have made easily $1 million if I would have just did a puppet act. I just couldn't do it.
Now, did you do them in New York or Vegas?
We did them both. They started in New York, and then we moved over to Vegas.
They made it illegal, right?
Yeah, it was only New York and Nevada were the only two states where you could tape record somebody without them knowing.
But then you had to get it cleared, right?
Yeah, they had to get it cleared. They called back later
Yeah.
and got the clearances on them.
I called up one woman at some church in Manhattan. She goes, "Is this Crank Yankers?" It was one of the guy's mothers, one of the producer's mothers. I go, she knew it right away.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like such an ass. Like, that's so much for my acting ability.
Well, once the show got popular, yeah, we.
Well, that's what happens,
they
like
all
to the
knew.
Jerky Boys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, did you ever see Impractical Jokers?
Yeah,
I know those guys. The two of them are friends of mine, and they're fucking funny.
it's a great show.
But I just wonder what's going. They have to keep evolving because they're going to get famous, and once they get famous, they're not going to get away with as much stuff. That's what was so interesting about the Jerky Boys. They always some of their best stuff was always with somebody who had English was like their third language.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the thing with Crank Yankers. We got to the point where let's call the Deep South. Alabama, stuff like that, Georgia, Deep South Georgia, where they don't know the show, where they probably don't have cable TV, because everybody was on to us by the third season.
Yeah. It lasted 3?
We actually lasted 5.
Was it? Wow.
Yeah.
I was glad I was part of it because I did Dr. Katz. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Before that, and that was much, like it was very soft compared to Crank Yankers.
Yeah.
Crank Yankers was really fucking pounding it.
Yeah.
Katz was more like, easy listening.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, because it was on the couch and you're just doing
Yeah.
talking
I mean, it was
stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids liked it, but it was always like egghead kids. I'd go up to Boston, all the Harvard kids like that.
Right.
And then I had this other show called Full Frontal Comedy where you could like jerk off and laugh at the same time. And, all the kids with the metal T-shirts, heavy metal T-shirts, they like that.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking cool, man.
That was Showtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were too young for that, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
I would have had you on, Jim.
No.
I would have had you. I swear to God, I didn't know you yet.
How'd you get that?
Well, it's so funny looking back on it because, not that I'm this judge of talent, but man, these fucking guys miss people. I got Rogan on the show. I had to beg to get Mitch Hedberg on the show. And I got Ray Romano and Drew Carey on. They said they're not dirty enough. I go, but they're pretty good stand-up. Give them a break. Then this other show, it ties us back to the beginning of the day. I had this thing called the Supreme Court of Comedy. I had to beg to get Tosh on and Russell Peters.
Really?
And Russell, for people who don't know Russell, it means you never lived in Asia. He's a friend of ours, and Russell's one of the most famous and richest comedians in the world, Russell Peters. And they didn't know him. Fucking.
I drove to this podcast taping in Russell Peters' car.
Yeah.
So I know I'm staying, he's actually staying in his house. I know. Yeah, it is nuts that they don't see that stuff.
They wanted me to get Tom Arnold and Paul Rodriguez. And I go, great. Those guys are good. But how about these other guys, too? You know, fine. I mean, mix up the ages. You know, these were the guys they heard of.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, coming from they should have known. Look, this guy knows comedy. You've been around. These are the upcoming guys. These guys are gonna be funny. Just trust me on this.
First of all, Tosh was always good.
Yeah,
He was
always a great
always
comic.
a good stand-up. He just was, you know, waiting for the right break. I never dreamed that this would happen. I mean, but you know, on the other hand, I'm such a bad evaluator of things because I wanted to have Dan Whitney drop the Larry the Cable Guy character.
Really?
That would have been a good move, huh?
Yeah.
It's like $1 billion less. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? So I go, Dan, I love Dan Whitney. Why don't you be yourself? He goes, no, Dom, this character's work. I said, all right. You know.
Yeah.
How fucking bad of advice would that be, though?
I know that would be.
Drop that bullshit.
Because I never really got in like the character stuff. It didn't work most of the time for comics.
Well, some people get mad at him when they find out he doesn't talk like that.
Right. Yeah.
And
But he started doing that because he would call on the radio shows.
Yeah.
And be like the redneck guy
Right.
doing, riffing on different stuff.
And even though he's from Nebraska, there's a little bit of redneck in him.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little bit, and he knows how to use it. And I think he did like Bob and Tom. Did you ever do that shit?
Just once.
They're nice. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
them.
No,
Very structured, different, but
Right.
fun. But that's not, I don't go into many of those markets either. That's why when I
Yes.
said Columbus, Ohio, Columbus and Cleveland, which are completely different worlds, but two of the only cities I do at all in the middle America. How about you?
Yeah, I do Cleveland. I do, yeah.
Do hilarities?
No, I do the improv.
The improv?
Yeah.
Hasn't that become an urban club?
Yeah, well, I'm the token white guy they put in there once a month.
Urban. I love the urban fucking
Yeah.
bullshit. Like, I'm from Philadelphia. Ain't I an urban comedian?
I know,
Where did I
right?
live? On a ranch in South Philly?
But I'm the token white guy. There's a lot of clubs are
Oh, yeah.
more urban today.
Do you do Helium?
Sometimes.
That's a good club.
I know it's a great club. There, I don't know, for some reason they're having a problem.
Are you too urban?
No, I don't know what the hell the problem. I might do. I'm doing the rock clubs now. The
Oh, that's
Troc in
cool.
Philly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You don't need it then.
Yeah, so I'm just like, you know what? If I'm not going to do 6 shows, I'll do 1.
It's funny how we all find our own path. When you're successful, every career is so different. I mean, Tom Dreesen has a career. He's a terrific stand-up comedian, just polished, old school, but polished. And he has like a career with golf. He plays golf, and these guys, like celebrity golf things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And here you are. Like, I didn't know. It's interesting for me because we're talking in this podcast, but in reality, it's interesting because we never sat and talked like this.
Yeah.
And like, I never knew this stuff. I mean, I knew you were on Crank Yankers. I had no idea about the hard, heavy metal stuff.
Yeah, this heavy metal show's been on for 5 years. We've done like 120 episodes. They show it constantly on VH1 Classic, so they show it like 50 times, repeated. So it's always on.
Maybe I should stop watching lesbian porn.
No, definitely not. I don't even watch my own show, but
Excuse me.
it is a whole other audience of like these these metalheads that didn't even know I did stand up, which is great. And then you got the podcast, which is a lot of people totally. You know what? One thing about podcasts, then it's way bigger on the West Coast than it is the East
Is it
Coast.
really?
Yeah. People on the East Coast, I'm like, I got a podcast. Like, what's that? Is that
Yeah,
on
I've
your
had people say
iPod?
that.
Like, how do you get that? You put
Yeah.
it on. Can I get that? I'm like, you can listen to it on your phone. How? How can I? Is it like a voicemail? Like they don't.
Yeah.
It's slowly stuff, but the West Coast, everybody's into it.
They're into it very much. You'll probably do Paul and Young Ron if you could.
Oh yeah,
West
those are
Palm.
great guys. Yeah.
And those guys are really good to plug the podcast because people that listen to that show are people that are really into comedy.
Right. Yeah,
Funny.
there's not too many big morning radio shows around anymore, like on regular radio.
When you do Philly, do you do Preston and Steve?
Yeah.
Do you do WIP?
Yep, I do Angelo.
Yeah.
Love Angelo.
Oh yeah,
he's
a fucking
great.
character.
Yeah.
He's the smartest dumb guy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Ivy League guy. He acts like Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
But he ain't fucking that dumb.
Right. No, I love to. And Preston and Steve are great too in Philly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing well, man. It's like interesting to see who makes it and who doesn't because, you see these guys over the years and you know that they got talent and just so many fucking variables to making it. Like we were talking about that today. It's like somebody said, talking about my friend O'Hanlon's mother. And when I went to New York, she said to me, why don't you just do like, like daytime TV, like a soap or something until you get like a real acting job. Like that's so fucking easy.
Right, yeah.
I said, do you know how hard that is to get that?
I know.
I can't get on at fucking Jimmy's Clam Bar. I didn't pass auditions at the Good Times. You don't even remember that.
No.
It was called the Good Times on 3rd Avenue.
Well, people say it because I got a deep voice. Like, man, you should be doing like, voiceovers for these cartoons, these animation movies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know I should. He's like, well, why aren't you doing them? I'm like, all right, let me just call whoever's doing it. And they go, listen to my voice. All right, you're in.
Oh, yeah. I used to get that with The Sopranos because I'm Italian.
Right.
Why aren't you in The Sopranos? Like, what? Like, fuck, I never thought of that. That's a good idea. Instead of playing bananas with Harlan and Arlene, maybe I could do both.
Yeah, it's funny, man. But no, and you know what? You know what weird thing broke my career is I would, when telemarketers would call my house, I would tape record them and mess with them.
Oh, really?
Because I was home during the day as a comic board.
Yeah.
So I made a CD of the calls just to sell at my stand-up shows. I figured I'll make $40-$50 after a show. What the hell, put actually maybe get my name out there that way. And then, like, as soon as I put that CD out, my friend Don Jameson knew the people over at the Howard Stern show. He said, hey, my friend's got the CD. Okay, if it's funny, we'll play it. The next morning, Stern's playing it on the air.
Wow.
Going, who is this guy? Oh, my God, this is so fucking funny.
That's so great.
Then Jackie the Joke Man leaves the show, and then have, like, unknown comics
Good
come
move,
in.
Jackie.
Yeah, come in and sit in, for the whole show and stuff. And then I go, we got to get this guy in here. And then I go in there, and then 2 weeks later, Kimmel and Carolla hear me on Stern and go, we want this guy that does prank calls. We're doing a show called Crank Anchors.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Just because I made this
Everything
CD
fell in line.
It was unbelievable. Like, that's how it happened.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it's amazing that you can balance Stern and Opie and Anthony, because in this business, you like I did that with them on a much smaller level with the comedy clubs. I was one of the only guy here, like in the late '80s, that could do the improv in the Comedy Store. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's kind of the same thing about the politics and the popularity of it.
I think it just broke a few years ago. I think they kind of, there's still some kind of issue there, but it's not that bad.
It's not the same audience.
I know, it's not.
I think that,
and when it's on satellite and it replays all day, people catch it at different times.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
It's like we were talking about. Was that on the show or off about doing clubs here? About this being a young club, and that was that.
No, that was off.
Okay, so but it's the same thing. Like, I don't think that the same people necessarily because they have like real fans, like Opie and Anthony, like loyal fans. And so does Stern. And I think some crossover, but a lot of it, it's good to do both if you can swing it.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're two totally different audience. I get people, huge Opie and Anthony fans come to my show, huge Stern fans, and all that stuff. So
well, you're one of the few.
Yeah, I don't know how I asked at one point. It was Jim Norton's birthday. Me and Jim Norton were roommates. We started doing comedy together. We're friends for a long time.
I don't get him.
No?
I don't know. To me, that's not comedy. The big laughs and I love Norton.
Yeah,
what's so funny about him? He's so polite and soft spoken off stage. You'd never know he has these fucking psychotic thoughts.
Well, because I lived with him for 4 years, so people are like, it must have been insane. I'm like, no, the guy was. My parents would come over. My girlfriend, lived there at the time. It's like he was totally polite. Couldn't have had a better roommate.
Yeah, I love Norton. I mean, he's one of those guys. He unleashes it during his act.
Yeah.
And then he's never like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so mild mannered and polite, and it's so funny.
Yeah, he's a great dude, man. He's a hardworking comic. That guy.
Yeah.
He didn't take a night off for probably I don't know, maybe 6-7 years doing comedy.
I knew
it was insane.
When I saw him the first time, I had stopped in to. He was doing a Thursday night, and I was doing Friday and Saturday at the Stress Factory. And as soon as I saw him, I go, Vin, this guy has got it. He goes, oh yeah, he's he wasn't known yet.
Yeah.
I guess he hadn't done the radio show. The radio show launched him, right?
Yeah.
Because Jim's more popular in the East Coast than here.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of people. If you're going to be popular, those states are pretty good,
Yeah. No, and he once he got an Opie and Anthony, he just blew up.
Yeah.
And I said, he's like, man, should I just throw everything out there and just, be honest about what a sick man I am and these thoughts I have? I go, dude, I'm telling you, radio shows will love it. It's like a soap opera. They love that
especially when you
stuff.
can say whatever you want.
Right. And then once he did that and just, warts and all, the fans just ate it up. It was the same thing with Artie Lange when he got the Stern gig. Everybody can relate to him. He's a blue collar guy, gambler, drinker, drugs, fucking up, and everybody listens like, yeah, I know, yeah, I'm the same way.
I talked to him on the phone about a month ago, and I don't know what he's doing, but I just worry that he survives because he's so fucking heavy, And he was funny because he says to me, "What do people do when they don't drink and do drugs?" You know what I mean? Like to him, like this is like, what the fuck do you do? What's your reward?
Yeah.
You just have a good show and you feel good and talk. You know?
No, it's true. I know. You gotta totally get out of that mindset. He's doing good. He's sober. He's doing a radio show.
Oh, is he sober?
Yeah, he's doing a radio show for in New York.
I didn't want to ask him if he was sober, because it wasn't that conversation.
He said he had 2 minor slip-ups in the last 3 years. He just said one day, and that was it, and then he went back to being sober again. So he's got a second book out. He's doing well. He's doing he's drawing again on the road.
He's a talented guy.
He's a great guy.
He's
super
a really
nice
good
guy.
actor too.
He's another guy that's totally cares of his friends.
Yeah.
Big time.
I used to like to do. Did you ever do Tough Crowd?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because I used to schedule it when Artie was on, so I'd get a chance to hang with him. And I remember going up to the corner. There was a bar, whatever the corner of whatever street that was on, right at the corner. And we would have a couple drinks and dinner. He drank about, honest to God, 5 scotches on the rocks or 5 whiskeys on the rocks, whatever it was, in 20 minutes. I go, Artie, I never fucking lecture people. I go, they're not going to run out of booze. Take it easy. He was so big he could fucking absorb it. I never seen that kind of drinking.
There was a story at the Funny Bone in St. Louis. He's on stage. A waitress comes up to the crowd. This is when the Stern heyday. They all know he drinks and crazy. A waitress comes up in the middle of his act with a tray of 10 shots. And he stops. He goes, all right, which one's mine? She goes, they all are. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, the guy over there bought you 10 shots.
Geez.
He's like, I can't do 10. I'll do 1. The crowd's like, no, I'll do 10. He goes, no, I'm not going to do 10. And they just started chanting, Artie. And he just did 10 in a row. Right
Oh, my
off.
God.
And he had to do another show. He had a third show to do that
I'd
night.
be seeing double. I saw him in Boston. He was at the Comedy Connection. I don't know what I was doing there, but we went and had dinner, and I went back to see his show, and they were so excited about him, he couldn't get through his material.
No. I know. I opened for him a long time. It was crazy. I mean, they knew me from the show. Are we doing well?
So you got a pass.
Yeah, but I get past, but people are still yelling, Artie, bring Artie up. And I go, dude, look, he's coming up in 10 minutes. Just deal with it. I go, look, I'm the appetizer. You don't go into a restaurant, start screaming, where's my fucking steak?
Right.
Have your salad first, relax. It's coming. So, but yeah, because he was a rock star. I mean, he sold out at Carnegie Hall in 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I met him out here. He was doing a show at Norm Macdonald.
All right, he was doing, the
Norm,
sitcom. The Norm show.
And that was the first time I knew him. But so you're pretty happy, huh?
Yeah, look, I got married 2 years ago.
It's good to fucking see somebody that's happy. I swear to God, there's so many miserable, ungrateful people. You seem to embrace it and know that where you came from.
Totally, and just be look. I remember when I first started, when I was making $350 a week as a comic. To me, I made it already.
Oh, yeah.
I got rid of my day job, and I was barely getting by. But I was like, I'm doing what I love doing for a living. This is fucking awesome. And I said, everything else is just going to be gravy. And then you raise the stakes along your career, but it's just like, come on, man, you're making a living at doing what you love. Yeah, making people laugh and being your own boss and dressing
being
whatever
your own
way
boss is
that's huge.
Yeah, we're partners. I'm not working for you.
No, but I'm not good at listening to people.
I had an apartment on 56 and 10th with my wife. I was married at the time, and I said to her, "I made $1,000 this week." I go, "Who needs more than $1,000?"
Right.
I really meant it.
Right.
Fucking $1,000. Our rent was only $300.
Right.
I got our rent and everything for the week, for the month rather. I mean, I totally appreciate it because I came from. I was borrowing my cousin Lenny's rat stabbers. Those pointed shoes.
Yeah.
Cuban heels and
right.
shit. I was about 5'11" then. But that was. I came from. I don't know if you did too, but I came from really nothing.
Middle class, 7 kids in the family. So
oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you Irish?
Irish Italian.
Florentine's Italian, right?
Yeah.
Do I know? Huh?
Yeah.
Not just a comedian.
But yeah, it was middle class. But I just always didn't want. I was always I wanted to be in a band. I was more into the music, the rock music and stuff. But I just couldn't play. I didn't have the talent for it. And then I was like, I gotta get up on stage somehow. I was DJing on the radio, DJing in rock clubs, weddings and all that stuff, and then eventually just evolved into getting up on stand-up. But once I did it the one time, even though I bombed, which most people do the first time they go on stage, I don't care what they say. You hear these comments, I killed the first time on stage.
Right.
I go, let me listen to that tape. We'll sit in the room and we'll fucking go over it and we'll see what you got. But I just knew it. I go, this is what I want to do. All my jokes got nothing, zeros. on a scale of 1 to 10, but I was picking on some people and it did really well. And I'm like, all right, I'm onto something. And I started writing material around it.
Yeah. What did you think? What was your goal? Like what level would you consider making it? Just like making a living?
At first, the first 6 months, you think you're going to be on HBO. Like, you think you're better than everybody else. You watch comics on TV, like, I'm better fucking funny than that guy. Look at all this. I don't even know how I can cut down all this material I have.
Well, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
I got 2 hours of material.
Yeah, like, how long you do a
good?
comedy? 2 months? How can you do 7 minutes? 7. How much you got? I could do 40. Really?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
How about 40 funny?
Yeah, I know.
How about 10 funny? Well, you know what inspired me was I was a Catch a Rising Star watching the show, and the MC was so bad that I thought, fuck, I could be that bad. Or I could be better. And so it wasn't seeing somebody really good go, I could be as good as that. It was seeing somebody really bad thinking, I could be that bad.
Really? And that's what it was?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I knew it, even when I was acting, it was like just the freedom of it, because I was in improv groups and we just fucking come and go. And I mean, now you got responsibility with a kid and all, but still, you love the kid. It's great to go back and see him, but you're free to come out here and have a little vacation. And you're not doing anything against your wife. How
Absolutely.
cool is that?
I know, it's the greatest. And I went through that whole phase, just women on the road, and that was like my addiction. It wasn't crazy, but you spent a lot of time on that.
Oh, yeah.
When I should have been really working on my act. I didn't have to go back to my room and start writing right after the show, but
yeah.
I definitely spent too much time on that. So once I, got in a serious relationship, I really started focusing more on my career.
I was crazy for years. I would get like a regular girl, and then she'd go, and then I'd get a hooker.
Really?
Yeah. Like, just insatiable.
Wow.
Fucking right, yeah.
No, not me. I just, if I got one, I was happy, and then...
I just got to, it was like, that was my addiction more than anything. I could stop drinking. I haven't smoked weed since fucking Revolver came out. Right. But, I just, sex is my...
Yeah, that was mine too. I only had a few drinks just so I can get some balls to talk to chicks.
Uh-huh.
I never drank to get drunk or anything like that. I just give me a little buzz on so I can. But once I started doing stand-up, I already knew what you were doing. It was so easy.
Did you do a lot of coke?
Never did coke in my life.
Yeah.
Never did any drugs. I smoked pot when I was a teenager. Did ecstasy a few times, but other than that, never done anything.
It'd be funny if you just kept naming shit.
Yeah, I did heroin 4 times. I did crack twice, but other than that, never
it's really
did
not that addictive.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'll still do it like at a party and stuff.
Yeah, I dropped mushrooms once on Christmas, but other than that,
I don't do it per se.
Yeah.
No, I'm too much of a pussy. I have little bronchitis today, which people are really interested in. They love to hear about your post-nasal drip. And I didn't even take the cough medicine before I came up here, afraid I'd be too stoned from it.
Yeah.
So I got a bottle of Robe waiting for me.
Nice.
As soon as we're done, bang. It's so funny when people want you to get better, because I've been sick for a week.
Right.
And they go, well, you feeling any better? I go, and then finally I start going, yeah, I'm feeling better, because they don't want to hear it. And then what can I bring you? What the fuck are you going to bring me?
Yeah.
Bring me good health and
Yeah,
joy and
exactly.
cheer.
Get this shit out of my system.
Well, good luck with the show that you're pitching out here.
Yeah, it's a hidden camera show we're going to try to pitch. I did some hidden camera stuff before. I had a pilot
That's
for
always
Comedy
fun.
Central.
You should do voiceovers with that voice.
Yeah, just animation movies.
You know what you should do? Like, make a lot more money. I mean, you should be more famous. That's
Yeah,
what
you should be that guy in a romantic comedy.
Yeah,
so
how
you
come
should
you
be.
didn't
How
get
come you're
that?
not that guy that gets those
You're
roles?
as funny as Will Ferrell. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Yeah.
I had when I very first started, my mother said the funniest fucking thing. It was like a joke. It was like she wrote a joke. She goes, we saw David Brenner at Palumbo's. This was his club in Philly. And I like David Brenner.
Yeah.
But this has nothing to do with him. It's just my mother. She goes, he sucked. Aunt Phil and I didn't laugh at all. You're just as good as him. My mother didn't even realize what she was saying. Like, you tell me he sucked,
Yeah.
you're just as good as him.
Right.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I know.
You can make it to that level of ineptitude. Jim Florentine, thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. It was great seeing you, Dom.
Wash your hand after
Absolutely,
this,
man.
after touching me.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim Florentine. Go see him. What's your Twitter again?
Twitter is Mr. Jim Florentine.
I'm at Dom Irrera. Thank you for coming on the show. See you again,
Thanks, man.
Each time that I think of you, I get distracted by something more interesting. Whoa, people say I'm